This is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. We're here on Xbox Series S, diving into this absolutely fantastic narrative-driven adventure, so be sure to like the video, subscribing's great as well. So what are we getting here on Xbox Series S? Well, we are getting 1080p, and we are also getting kind of a choice as well. So you, in the video settings, have the option to cap or uncap the frame rate. So if you cap the frame rate, it'll be 30 FPS, but a solid 30 FPS. If you uncap the frame rate, it will be a kind of variable 60 FPS, uncapped. It'll go all over the place. But, it's kind of worth it to at times have a better frame rate. If you have VRR, which is, variable refresh rate, you will have an even kind of smoother experience, but you'll still have dips and whatnot that are present. There's HDR support as well. So just keep that in mind. Now that is an option that is present if you so choose to do so. And I do think it is kind of beneficial to at times have the 60 FPS going. So there's also photo mode, which is pretty cool. But you go to settings, you go to video, and here you can either cap it when it's turned on, like I mentioned, or uncap it. So there you go. That's kind of cool. And then you jump in and you enjoy 1080 60 FPS. So what is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, this is an original story that follows Peter Quill. You play as Star-Lord, and you are joined by the other Guardians. You've got your good pal Rocket Raccoon. You've got Drax the Destroyer. You've got Groot. You've got Gamora. And there's different costumes you can have. So it's actually a fairly lengthy story. It's at least 16 hours, narrative focused. It's just a single player game. You work through it, but it's got an incredible story to it. It's got great sci-fi worlds. It's got neat character interactions. You make choices that will impact your group along the way. And it's just really, really well done. So while the core of it is the Guardians and their relationships, there's a deeper element behind all of this, as you will kind of discover, in regards to, does kind of Star-Lord maybe have a kid? Maybe not. Who's to say? And you're kind of diving into that over the course of the story. That's like a big theme here, is him kind of dealing with this element of that aspect, alongside with also the problems of this kid, this crazy, intense, faith-based group that is doing wild things with power. You meet just a huge array of different characters, and don't worry, I haven't spoiled anything. I'm just kind of telling about the story here. So you just kind of come in here, and you meet things, meet different characters. There's like Cosmo the dog, because it's like a cosmonaut doggo, which is pretty funny. There's like a Beastmaster kind of thing. There's just a lot of crazy different characters that you will come across. They make fun of the Avengers. They do all kinds of crazy things. But it's its own sort of universe. It's its own setup. You make these choices. You do these intense action sequences. It might feel a little Tomb Raider-ish at times, I suppose you might say. A lot of it is more action-based. There's a killer soundtrack behind this game. An absolutely killer soundtrack, which is just fantastic. Loved it. So the music's really great. Obviously, we've turned that off for copyright things. And then you can go into these intense sequences when you're doing kind of like a Walkman thing to pump up the team, and your music starts playing, and it's you've got Call Me or Blondie and all this other kind of crazy stuff that goes Culture Club, and there's all kinds of great tracks and musical beats. It's very, very well done in that regard. I absolutely love the audio and the music in this one. It really is hitting the mark pretty well. So story-wise, again, really liked the characters that are present. I like the crazy moments, and it's a very emotional game. It's emotionally driven. It might seem like a silly kind of action adventure, but it really does kind of almost elevate gaming a little bit. It's one of those that's trying to, from the narrative perspective, of having a lot of emotion to it. Between Peter Quill and this possible child of his, maybe not, who's to say? Keeps you guessing the whole way through, that's for sure. Gamora and her issues with Nebula. You've got Rocket and his past issues. You've got Drax and his family. Groot's there. He is Groot. There are other fun character surprises that I haven't mentioned because I don't want to spoil things. They're very cool. and they just have a little wild adventure across the cosmos as you deal with like the Nova folks, and it's hilarious. It's one of the first games that I genuinely find hilarious many times. It's the banter of the team is funny. The banter of Peter Quill and the rest of other like the people they come across is hilarious. You know what? And it does have action. It does have combat. You know, it's not just kind of running around. It's not too hardcore. There's lots of difficulty options too. It's very accessible. You know, I think that's kind of important too, because this is more narrative focused. This isn't just, you know, about combat. This isn't just about anything else. It's mostly based on you and your team going on this crazy adventure. You also get to dive into like the history of Star-Lord and some of the history of the other teammates too. And it might seem a little bit weird focusing on Peter Quill, but it makes sense because he is the heart of this team. He is kind of what keeps them all kind of going, and I think that's really, really neat. And as I mentioned, your choices do actually impact things, and they can change different places you end up going. So at one point, for example, you can choose to go into a club, and there's this crazy sequence that goes on. Or you might choose not to go into that club, and it just kind of, you know, gets skipped, or, you know, there's different ways to have different things happen. The overall story is still structured the same, but it just gives a little bit freedom for you to go wild. You can also upgrade your gear. That's, you know, within the game. There are some collectibles to find. There are some different memories and moments to have if you collect certain collectibles and then go into your ship, the Milano, and then talk with the rest of the team. This is just a random chapter that I loaded up here, keep that in mind. There is New Game Plus as well if you want to go back again. I think I beat the game twice, at least twice thus far, which is kind of funny. You know, because I streamed the whole thing, so you can see that on the channel if you'd like to see more of the game. And then, you know, I also was like reviewing it ahead of launch and whatnot, so I like whipped through it twice in a short span, and I love this game. It's got great emotive elements, it's got a lot of entertainment to it, it's got a lot of fun, a lot of heart, it really is, like, great performances, and I think on the Series S, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, I did mostly play it at 1080 when I was, you know, kind of reviewing it and whatnot, because I wanted the performance mode on the Series X, and the performance mode isn't the best there, obviously, right? Kind of dip it down to the same level as the Series S. But, you know, I thought it was just something that I should kind of mention there as well. But, you know, the Series X does have this really great, I guess you would say, you know, kind of option where you are able to do a, like, 4K type resolution option. There's also, like, a ray tracing one, too, which is kind of neat. But, yeah, you can kind of make the choices to play it how you want on Series S, you know. Now we're kind of switching the option in regards to the fluidity level. And anyways, it's a really, really good game. That's the thing I really want to get across, is that, you know, this is something you can come in here and you can have a lot of fun playing. You know, you can do all kinds of crazy things. It's got some fun characters. It's got hilarious moments. You feel like you're engaged with it because you're making choices. And I feel like this was something that was, like, way too overlooked because it's so cool. I've also got, like, the art book for this game, and that is just gnarly. Like, in general, like, the art direction and the different places you go, it's just absolutely fantastic. Like, these sci-fi worlds are so cool. they did an awesome job with, like, the design and the art direction of this. I was really, really happy. Like, you get to go to, like, a snow place, you get to go to nowhere, you get to go this crazy area, you get to visit, you know, all these different, like, spaceships and different locations. And like I said, it's at least 16 hours long for you to roll through this game. Like, it's lengthy, it's chunky. I'd love to see a sequel. I hope that happens, because I think this really is, like, a fantastic game that I do not think got the attention it definitely deserved, because it's, you know, it's got fun action, crazy moments, little bit of puzzle solving here or there, freedom to move through levels. It's got, you know, kind of comedy to it. It's got just a lot of different things going on, and I think that really makes it, you know, kind of entertaining. For me, like legitimately, it was just hilarious at so many points. I was like, I can't believe that this game does this. And then also at the same time, there's these, like, really, really sad points that pop up. Like, these really, emotionally driven beats between these characters that are dealing with these problems. And it has like a good range. Like in games, you know, rarely do we get like a comedy, if that makes sense. You might have a moment or two that's, oh, that's funny. But rarely do we get something that's like actually like legit comedic. And that's what this goes for, but it's also action and there's also heart. And I think that's just a really important balance that not a lot of games perfectly get right, and I think it's just great that this game offers that sort of thing. I think it's really nice that there is such a mix there. And if you want to learn more about it too, I do have an interview with the actress that plays Nikki in this, which is pretty cool, and kind of talks about the game a little bit further in depth. You know, it was just like really fun to have that set up too. So I feel like I've gotten a lot out of this from my perspective, gameplay wise. I've had, you know, a lot of fun sitting here doing crazy things, working through this game, seeing what it has to offer, and I hope that others will kind of take a look at this and be like, oh, this is a pretty cool game. And I'd be like, yeah, it definitely is. It's just like, it's kind of crazy, and this is like an earlier point, so we're not even like fully on our abilities. You can see like all the characters will get like 4 rows of different abilities that you can unleash, and you know, the action amps up a lot as you work through different scenarios, fighting different things, and I think that's really, really cool. I mean, I personally just absolutely adore what this game has to offer. It was like my game of the year last year. I really did find this to be such a fun time, an engaging time too. Like I said, it's something for like everyone. If you are a fan of the Guardians from, you know, like the movies, just keep in mind like these aren't the exact same characters. They're a little bit different. There's a little bit of a different story. Like this is more almost comic-like, but at the same time, you know, it's very much its own thing. I fell off the ledge. That's hilarious. So, yeah, it's got like a really nice balance, but it's something that anyone can play. Like difficulty-wise, even content-wise, maturity-wise, I think anyone could jump in here and, you know, kind of play this game and have fun with it. You know, it's more like a crazy kind of fantasy violence sort of thing. But I'm saying from like a difficulty perspective too, you know, it's not insanely hard. There's also lots of scaling options that I think you might find fun. Crazy boss fights with some insane moments as like this heroic staging of like Star-Lord at times comes out, which is really funny. Like there's this epic like rock concert type like poster sequence that almost happens, or does happen, and it has like this great freeze frame, and it's so cool. And they're like just huge creatures you fight in this. Like these are just like small little things, you know, we're fighting some like cubes and fighting some flying things. As you progress, you fight all kinds of different like cultist type characters, you fight kind of brainwashed folks. It's pretty wild. It really is just wild, the different sequences here. Yeah, you know, again, it's really not too bad looking for the Series S, you know, and even performance-wise, I don't think, you know, we kind of showed off the 2 different options. I don't think it's necessarily like the worst either way. So it really comes down to, you know, do you want to try for that 60 FPS? Do you want to, you know, is that going to impact your gameplay? I would say, hey, maybe go for a little bit more fluidity if you find it's not too detrimental to what you're doing. Just keep in mind that some sequences where there is a lot of action going on, you might find that, you know, things get pretty demanding, so that might be a little bit of an impact. But I think for the most part, you know, you can really see a pretty good, like, the art direction and the visual style of this world and the worlds you visit is great. And I picked this sequence, again, particularly because, you know, I've played through it multiple times, so I kind of get an idea of this. I kind of picked the sequence because I really thought, hey, it doesn't really spoil anything, and we can sit here and we can have fun with this, and you can kind of get an idea of a little bit of action, a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of movement, get an idea of how the team, like, reacts to each other and the combat they have. It's really cool, seriously. And like I said, you would have music infused in there too, if I had that on as well. So you get to enjoy like a really cool audio-focused experience, whereas doing content creation, I don't. So, a little disappointing, because it really is like, I've turned it on sometimes when I was playing the first time through. I would, you know, I'd be recording at some points for the video that I did on Series X, and I'd be doing, you know, and then I turn the audio back on, and I'd be listening, I'd be like, oh, that's a killer soundtrack. And just going like back and forth between the two. But you see how this is a little Tomb Raider-like, right? You know, you do some, you know, climbing type stuff occasionally. It's like very narrative focused, right? That's what these bigger games tend to be. Action sequences kind of put together with like you know, kind of traversal and stuff. And then you've got like this elemental element aspect of it too, with the with Peter Quill's guns. They do different abilities. You kind of unlock things as things go on. Good catch, Gamora. And everyone in the Guardians team has abilities. They all have a purpose too in this team. They all serve a niche within your group, and I think that's pretty cool. They really do have fun with that. They have great humorous moments, great action-packed segments. This is a really enjoyable time. I would say it's a must-play experience in my opinion. I think you're actually kind of missing out if you don't jump in here and enjoy some of the thrills and some of the action of what the Guardians of the Galaxy has to offer. It is its own thing, so keep in mind that aspect of it. And I think it is accessible for all. I think it is fun. I think it's engaging. I think it's important. I think it tells a really lovely story with amazing story beats, humor, through great laughter segments, and just a lot of heart too. Like it really, I think you could get, I think some people, myself even, got a little emotional as this one kind of progressed, because they really do, and you might not think of it like that, but they do really have some really soft spots to it that I think are absolutely fantastic, and something that you would be surprisingly shocked about. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy on the Series S. I absolutely love that I have another reason to jump into this game and play it a little bit more, because, you know, it is something I do have so much fun with. And liking the video is great again, and subscribing is great as well. And I hope you just enjoy some more gameplay so you can see more of it in action with no commentary going on there.
Finish the battle! Aw, Stumpy's running away.
That its tail between its legs. I say we go after it. Finish the job.
Anyone ever tell you you're scary?
Yes.
I mean, there's obviously a way out up there, which is exactly what we need. Plus, it'll give us eyes on where we need to go.
It's settled. We'll scale this down the track.
Yeah, okay. How do we do that?
Good question. Huh. Looks like there's one of those vintage workbench things back here. Okay, Rocket, let's see if this thing still works.
Yeah, all right. Just better not get jumped by any monsters.
So, where are we?
Waiting for you so that we can scale this contraption.
Ah, right.
Starting to wonder if I should be the one with a fancy visor.
Gamora, how high up this thing can you climb?
Let's find out.
Are you relishing this moment, assassin?
What moment?
Visiting the grave of your enemies.
Nova Corps weren't my enemies, Drax. They were my father's enemies.
I got eyes on this gunked up reactor. A couple of shots to bring it down. All right. Pretty sure that baby's our ticket upward. Somehow.
It is neither a baby nor a ticket. It is a reactor.
Drax, moving that thing around ain't a problem, right?
It is not. Just like the mighty Lady Hellbender, I am exceptionally muscular.
We got it, Drax.
This unit is tremendously heavy.
I thought you were exceptionally muscular.
What next, Peter Quill?
Can you get up there now?
Should only take a second. This brings back memories.
Impressive.
See? That was easy. Great teamwork, everyone. I helped in spirit.
All right. Slippery wind-pummeled treetops, here we come.
One thing is clear. We would never have accomplished this task without the assassin.
Did Drax just praise Gamora?
I am giving credit where credit is due. There it is! Lady Hellbender's fortress!
It's gotten bigger, that's for sure.
Ha! It is not getting bigger. We are getting closer.
Looks like there's a way down here.
Okay, here we go. Slimy. Guys? You might want to wait to come down here.